and how to literally turn their mind into a time machine so they can achieve the future that they want now.
Yeah, and it doesn't cost them anything to try it out, and that's great. I mean, they get a month,
absolutely,
a month's worth of that, and they can go on to YouTube and get themselves, were educated, which I think young people and even middle-aged people, I think it would maybe help a lot of people focus on their life.
Well, it's kept me going my entire life, learning how to use the power of visualization and affirmations and what's called the law of attraction. It's real. And if people simply study it a little bit, which they can do on my website and through my book, they'll learn how to take their dreams and visions and turn them into goals and then experience more of what they want in their life day to day.
Wow. Hey, Anthony, like always, since the last time you were on my show, I really enjoyed having you on Night Dreams Radio.
It was a pleasure, Gary. Thanks very much. I really appreciated it.
Oh, yeah. And I actually enjoyed even talking about the weather. Hey,
no kidding.
You have a great week, will you?
You too, Gary. Thanks again.
Okay, thank you. What can I say? Boy, it's true. I mean, how many times have you went to bed at night and had a dream of the future, and then all of a sudden, a couple years later, it happens, and then you go to bed after it happens, and you kind of like, this sounds like this whole experience seems so familiar. And then you realize you had a out-of-body experience or a dream or whatever you want to call it. And it just happened. I mean, just like with Anthony when he was 10 years old, he saw himself as a professor. He saw him as a writer. He saw him doing a one-man play when he was 10 years old. Same thing when I was 10 and 12 years old. I saw myself as being in the radio and actually saw some of the radio stations I worked at when I was like 12 years old. I think a lot of people have it, but they just kind of dismiss it. Well, tomorrow we're going to be talking about UFOs. With a person, it's... I'm going to hold off on his name till tomorrow, but if you've been looking at Facebook, I've been posting up who he is. He's quite famous in UFOs. He's ran into some UFOs. Are UFOs real? Well, my feeling is, from what I've seen in my life, they are. And tomorrow we got 2 hours. We're going to be talking about UFOs. In fact, the whole month we're going to be talking a lot about UFOs and strange things that go bump in the night. And don't forget Fridays. You can call in the last half an hour of the show from 9:30 to 10 and tell us a scary, scary story. What do you get out of it? Well, you get to tell everybody on the radio a scary story. The second is you might win a gift if it's good enough. And then at the end of the month, we're going to give out to that lucky person who told the most scariest story for the month is going to get a nice recorder, capable if you want to go out ghost hunting and get, sounds of ghosts and creepy things like that. It will do it. And it's not a cheap one. So, that is going to be our gift to that lucky person. Well, my concern, again, is what is going on right now on the East Coast, around the Carolinas, these hurricanes. There's a stacking right up one behind the other, and they're talking up to 150-some mile-an-hour winds. Can you imagine how much damage that is going to do in just a matter of a few hours tonight? When that comes in, it's going to just disrupt a lot of areas and people. They're going to lose a lot of homes, businesses, all that stuff. Right now, when our economy, they say it's going great. I don't know about that, but I tell you, that is going to be a big, huge financial loss. And what scares me about it is, we, including myself, I'll be honest with you, I made fun of Al Gore myself back about 10 years ago. I said Al Gore's ideas was all crackpot. That's when I used to believe what the scientists, government scientists would come on and give interviews and say, oh, there's no such thing as global warming, and it's nothing, to the truth of Earth's changes. Well, something is going on, because I either that the scientists, hopefully they passed on from old age by now, or they're out delivering newspapers, because their credibility is totally gone. I mean, think about it. When they sat there and said, "Oh, there's no such thing as Earth changes," well, it's happening way faster than any scientist has ever predicted it and said it could happen. And that's the scary part. I mean, Antarctica is just like breaking up and melting fast, and it's not slowing down. You know, last year there was a group of scientists that, oh, no, actually Antarctica is freezing more than it ever has been before. Well, then, if that's the case, why if you go on Google and do a search and look at all this open water now that wasn't there before, and not through any time that man has walked the earth, and again, a big shipping company, you know, was ecstatic about it, because now they don't have to go around the Cape. They just go right through Antarctica and deliver their goods and save thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of dollars and huge amount of time, because they can go through open water, which wasn't there, you know, a year ago. That's what's scary. And then we're looking at what's going on, you know, with the stuff off of Florida, where, you know, everything, you know, became poisonous, the sea life. And then on top of that, I mean, I wouldn't be looking at to retiring. Well, I don't know. You might have this generation, not my generation, but the generation that's now just retiring. I guess I would fit into that, wouldn't I? They could probably go still buy some nice property in Florida and not worry about it being underwater. But I tell you, your grandkids, I got a funny feeling Florida won't be around when your grandkids are, you know, if they're like 5 or 6 now, when their time they're 20, I got a funny feeling most of Florida is going to be underwater. And along with, they even said New York, you know, is going to start having problems in a couple of years with the sea level coming up. That is so scary. And not just that. I mean, let's face it. I mean, Earth changes can happen overnight. You know, like that one movie, it came out about 15 years ago, based off of Art Bell and Whitney, you know, about the Earth changes happening just in a matter of overnight. Well, you know, that could be really, really possible now. You know, the magnetic field on the Earth is changing. The Earth is at a slight wobble and a little bit of a tilt, and a lot of people don't realize that. It's affecting certain parts of the country, and it's going to affect certain parts of the country even more in the next couple of years. Some parts of the country are going to get so hot where you can't even hardly survive, and then they're going to find another part of the country where it's going to be really wet with a lot more heavy rain, like what's happening right now on the East Coast. They're saying it's going to be massive heavy rain, the heavy winds. I mean, things are intensifying, and you know what? You'd have to be a total fool not to realize something is going on. Like I was saying earlier, you know, for almost 20 years living here, my fish pond would freeze solid every winter. You know, I remember when we had snow, it would last for a few days, at least where I live. And what snow? There hasn't been snow for a couple years. None. And, you know, and the last year or two, like my fish pond, last year didn't even really freeze over. It did for a couple days, maybe with a 1/4 inch of ice, if even that much. Now that is getting scary. And then it was like, well, let's see, April, May, and April, hitting 90-some degrees where I live. It was just for a day, a fluke, but, you know, all through recorded time where they were keeping track of it. I mean, we hit 71 before. Now we hit like almost 20 degrees higher. So something is going on. And that's what I'm concerned about. Not so much because I'm an old man, but I'm really concerned about my kids and my grandkids and their kids. I just think it's going to be some major changes. And last, again, about our economy. Do you really think, how many of you really think our economy is really sound and going and creating all these new jobs. Well, the Labor Department came out and contradicted what our president said here just a couple of days ago. And that's kind of scary. But, the type of jobs that are out there, yeah, there's a lot of jobs if you want to work a service job. I mean, what really manufacturing jobs are left? They're getting less and less all the time. Like I was mentioning, I thought 30 years ago, the last company making TVs in the United States was Curtis Mathis. And then I find out here a couple of weeks ago, there was this company down south that still was making TVs in the United States, but they had to start laying off everybody. And the guy said that he's going to have to go out of business because of the tariffs, that he can't compete, he can't get the parts in, and, that it's destroyed him. And not just him, he had 100 and some employees that, lost their job. So I don't know, and I have my kids, a couple of them, they're now starting in the work field. Working in service, and they're not making much more than minimum wage. But if you go out and rent an apartment nowadays, at least where I'm at, they're going to start out close to like $1,000, $1,200 a month, if not a little bit more. And then you got your utilities, and if you want to have cable, you got that. That's ridiculous too. Cable, $200 and some a month with internet. I mean, things are really getting out of control. And how do you do it if you're working for $13 an hour? How do you meet a girl or a guy in whatever case and go out and support each, even if you both work? How are you going to live? I mean, do you have to go on food stamps and to supplement your income? This is what a lot of people don't realize. It's scary. And then the older people. You see things on TV, like reverse mortgage. Okay, well, that's a good idea. That is a good idea for the mortgage company is doing it, or the bank, because you're signing your property away. So your value of your property, yeah, it's giving you some money each month to live on, where you maybe don't have to make your payments on your mortgage, or you get a little bit of money back every month, to help. Well, because you didn't and weren't able to save enough money for Social Security. So now your value of your home, everything, your equity in your home is now going to you. But the problem is when you pass on, you have nothing to give your family. And a lot of people will say, well, the hell with my family. But I mean, the bad part is, let's say you're in a reverse mortgage and you're not making your payments and you sign the agreement. All of a sudden, they have to put you in a nursing home. Has anybody out there really looked at what it costs to go into a nursing home? The average person who's retired doesn't even have enough money to go in a nursing home for a year. Not at $10,000 to $20,000 a month, if not more. How do you do it? Well, I don't know. The economy has really got me really concerned, and putting the tariffs, the way it's going right now, it's like a playing Russian roulette. I think what's going to happen is it's going to keep escalating and escalating, and it's going to get silly. And you know what? It'll defeat its purpose. It will. Trust me. When people start losing their jobs. And maybe it's a good time to happen just before midterm elections. People will start realizing what's going on. Anyway, getting into tomorrow, again, we're going to be talking about UFOs. And then, like I said, every Friday, all through September, all the way up actually to October, Halloween. Scary Fridays, the last half an hour. In fact, the last day of the show for Halloween, it's going to be 2 hours of call-ins where you can call in scary stories. We're going to have a lot of gifts to give out at Night Dreams Talk Radio. I will say this. I was retired when I decided to come back and get on the internet radio. And I didn't even think about getting back on the radio because I was retired. I mean, I was totally bored riding my motorcycle. and watching TV and washing dishes. My wife still